In this video, I will test the stabilization in the Nikon Z5 Mark II. I will also compare it to the Fujifilm X-S20 and the Sony ZV-E10 Mark II. In the end of the video, I will also mention why I hesitate to keep this camera. There is something here that I don't know if I can live with. I've done a few attempts to test the Nikon camera, but I decided to go out and retest everything to do this properly. Before I got this camera, I was actually going to buy either the Fujifilm or the Sony camera, and I did a few tests with them too. I quickly realized that the X-S20 is not the camera for me. The stabilization when filming what I usually film is subpar to say the least. And on top of that, the autofocus isn't exactly reliable either. Good thing that I tested the X-S20, because I was very close to buy one unseen. The Sony ZV-E10 Mark II is way ahead when it comes to my type of footage. And I even like the S-Cinetone colors. It does have a 33% crop when using the digital stabilization though, but that's something I can live with. It's so small and compact, I understand there must be compromises. I decided I would buy it or the A6700, which has the same sensor but also IBIS among other things. But out of nowhere, this camera ended up in my mailbox. I won it in a photo competition, which is a story in itself. You can watch a short video about that up here if you're interested. I never considered a full-frame camera, since they are twice the price, twice the size and twice the weight. At the same time, I'm now intrigued. Maybe this camera is superior. Anyway, I sold all my other cameras and lenses and I'm going all in on the Nikon ecosystem. But first I need to know if the camera works for what I do. And I do this: close-up handheld panning. I don't want to use a gimbal since it's 2026 and I just sold mine. The Stab just has to be good enough nowadays. Let's start with a somewhat aggressive vlog test and then I'll explain the different stabilization functions.
Yeah, so this is Angry Daddy Walk with no stabilization. It's probably pretty bad. This is Angry Daddy Walk with the standard stabilization. Probably a little bit better. I think it's called Sport, Vibration Mode Sport something. I have no clue what it is, I have to look that up. Maybe it's better, I don't know. This is Angry Daddy Walk with the digital stabilization turned on together with sports mode. No idea what it looks like. I've heard that you get some wonky things going on in the corners up here with the digital stabilization on. I don't know, let's see in post. And this is the final Angry Daddy Walk with the sport. It's not in the sports mode, it's the standard vibration mode together with the digital stabilization in camera. Possibly there are some wonky things going on up here in the corners. Let's have a look in post.
I think if you're an angry vlog daddy, this isn't the camera for you. The stabilization simply isn't good enough for this type of footage. Maybe if you use a very wide lens and apply a lot of digital stabilization in post, it could work for you. There are a few stabilization functions in the Nikon camera. There are two different IBIS settings to start with. IBIS is in-body stabilization. There is standard and there is sport. These options are grayed out if you use a lens with vibration reduction. But none of the lenses I have is a VR lens. Nikon call these IBIS vibration reduction, which sets the tone for this camera as photography first in my mind. Reviewers seem to be impressed with the 7.5 stop of IBIS stabilization, which probably is impressive. But in real life, you have to move the camera pretty slowly to make it work for video.
I don't think I did it well there. Once again.
So what the heck is IBIS Sport then? According to the manual for this Z5 Mark II, Sport is recommended for panning shots. Vibration reduction applies only to the motion that is not part of the pan. If the camera is panned horizontally, for example, vibration reduction will be applied only to the vertical shake. I assume that reduces the risk of sudden jerks in the image when you're trying to pan or follow an athlete chasing a ball or something. The normal IBIS works best for static shots. Then there is a digital or electric stabilization, which will crop in just a little bit. There can be some jello effects when walking with the camera. Maybe it will work better in this next test, which is more of the type of filming that I usually do. Filming bikes.
Now this is what I usually shoot. I don't have any cool mountain bike with me right now, so I'll have to do with this one. So this is with no stabilization. And this is digital stabilization only. I think if you do these slow shots, I don't think you will get those wonky corners. What do you think? Maybe this is good enough. This is with the digital stabilization turned off, but with the IBIS on in the standard setting. A little bit of a close-up. This is with IBIS Sport. What the heck that is, I don't know. And this is IBIS Sport together with digital stabilization. And we'll do a little close-up as well. So the thing is that I bought this lens. I don't know if this focuses well on the lens, but it's a 85mm f1.8 lens. It's a Meike, whatever it's called, a Pro Series lens. And this is supposed to be good for product shots together with portrait shots, etc. And the reason why I went for the Pro Series was that it's got no focus breathing whatsoever. So that's good from a video production perspective, supposedly. So my thought is to use this on the details on a bike for really good close-ups and to get that bokeh in the background. I think that background separation would look very nice. Let's have a look at that. Now this is the 85mm lens. It's wide open, so I had to crank up the shutter speed. I didn't bring any ND filter with me. So this is a really tight shot. Stand pretty far from the bike. Trying to focus on that thing in the middle there. That phone holder. No stabilization. This is standard IBIS on. Maybe it's too long, this lens, for handheld shooting. I don't know. If you stand still, I think it's okay. And now this is sports mode. No digital stabilization. Now this is standard mode together with the digital stabilization. Okay, and finally full blast with everything we've got. It's digital stabilization and sports, IBIS Sports, whatever it's called. I think the lens is still too long for handheld shooting. Try to stand still a little bit. Maybe these small movements will look nice. I think I got it all in this little test. So let's head back and see what this looks like in post.
I have a hard time coming to a conclusion here. I still don't know what the best settings are. If I don't move around too much, I think the footage is usable regardless of the stabilization method. These close-up bike shots are pretty difficult to pull off, even with the gimbal. So overall, I'm happy with the footage. I'm not too sure about that 85mm lens. I have to be very careful when using it. The image from the lens is good, but perhaps it's too long for handheld filming. Maybe it's better to put that lens on a tripod and move the object instead. I did a quick little comparison test when applying stabilization in post. That footage turned out similar to the in-camera stabilization, so not much of a difference there. It doesn't seem to matter which method I use, at least not for this type of filming. I did crank up the shutter speed a bit with the 85mm lens, and there is, in the back of my mind, a reason for why I didn't bring an ND filter. Digital stabilization in general works better when a camera can compare frames that are sharp and don't have motion blur. That's what action cameras tend to do. Once you start using ND filters on action cameras, the footage gets noticeably shakier. But maybe I should just stick with IBIS only here. That seems to be the most versatile method. Anyway, the stabilization is okay for slow movements and I can work with this. Finally, we come to the biggest gripe I have with this camera, and that's something that I don't know if I can live with. It's that 1.5 times crop when filming in 4K 60. Slowing down the footage by half makes a lot for these types of shots. And it's not only that it helps making the footage look smooth, sometimes I just need more footage, longer clips. The crop also makes my 85mm lens even more useless. That's the equivalent of almost a 130mm lens. And that's way too long for handheld product shots or close-ups. In the 4K 60 mode, I will essentially get an APS-C camera, but it's twice as big, twice as heavy, and twice as expensive. So I'm debating if this camera really is the camera for me. I'm not going to invest in any more lenses than these two for the moment, until I've decided if I will keep the camera. I'm hoping that maybe there might be a firmware update which will reduce the amount of crop in 4K 60, but I highly doubt that will happen. It's a good camera in the Nikon, but my ideal camera is smaller and doesn't have any crop in 4K 60.